Hi there, Sage Canaday of VO2 Max Productions here with a vlog recap of my race at the North Face 50 Mile Endurance Championships this past weekend. And I posted a race report on my personal blog as well, sagecanaday.com, where I didn't write a full race report, I actually just wrote a sonnet of my race report. But this will be on there as a podcast version as well, and you could subscribe to my podcast on iTunes if you want the audio version from this video, because it's going to be pretty long. Maybe I'll give you the blow-by-blow gory details of how the race played out, but it was a good race. I uploaded all the data on Strava.com, the website, and you could see the course changed a little bit. They had to change it because there's all this rain in San Francisco last week, ironically, and even the night before the race it's pouring down rain. So and I was a little worried about the traction issues. 2 years ago it was a monsoon out there and a lot of mud. So this year they kind of rerouted part of the course around one of the hills, so they said it took out some vertical. But you know, I still got over 10,000 feet of climbing, and it actually made the course a little bit longer because I got 51.4 miles. Always tough when you're doing a trail race and you got to go the extra mile, literally, in the event. But I think in the past, traditionally, it's been about 49.8 miles or so. So 6 hours, 7 minutes. I was really happy with that time, and I think it really showed the fast early pace. So basically, we'll rewind, and I'll give you the details of how it went down the night before the race. So I'm eating dinner with my parents. My parents drove down from Oregon, which I was really lucky, really thankful for their support being there. I'm totally spoiled. So thanks, Mom and Dad. But they drove down from Oregon, we were eating dinner, and I really want to eat dinner early the night before a race because it's a 5 a.m. start. It's super early, at least for me. At 5 a.m. race time starts pretty early. So I try to eat dinner at least 12 hours before that to get the digestion going, basically. But we're in this Italian restaurant waiting for my pasta. It's closer to 6 really by the time I start eating. So I'm like, oh great, something's going to be sitting on my gut in the starting line. And sure enough, it was. But you know, 5 a.m. start, next morning, not feeling real great. It's dark, you gotta run. I was running with this Black Diamond headlamp here. It's very nice. It's got a little backlight and this little middle head strap. I'm not sponsored by Black Diamond, by the way. And so I got this on, and we're starting off in the dark. Huge pack, maybe 20 or 30 guys. And you know, lots of guys who've run. There were at least several guys that had run under 220 in the marathon, as well as really experienced trail guys like Dakota Jones, who's been doing this for 5 years, who've all run the course before, and tons of other guys who were moving up to the 50-mile distance as their debut. So it was a really loaded field, really big pack, as I knew it would be, at least for the first 10 miles. And yeah, we were running pretty fast, but we did these 2 loops on some more tame trails. Still had quite a bit of climbing, but it was good footing, tame trails. And I looked over to one of the guys I knew, Justin Hauk. He was a real good runner out of Washington, the state of Washington, and we split a 5:26 mile. It was a downhill, but still, it was a 5:26 mile, like only 6 miles into the race, and I was like, "Fuck that shit! Like, this is too fast." But we're in the lead pack. You know, Zach Miller's up there, all these guys from Nike. And it felt comfortable, but I could tell it was also very fast for the course. But I think you have to take advantage of those more runnable sections early on before the real steep climbing and mud started. So we were rolling through the night, or through the dawn, I guess. There was a nice moon out, it was foggy, kind of cool. And just trying not to get lost with my headlamp on. But we're rolling through so fast that we come to the aid station at 14 miles, and we're only like an hour and a half into the race, and it's still really dark. So I was gonna give my parents this headlamp, and I was gonna say like, oh, switch to sunglasses, but I still needed this bad boy. So I ended up running with this for like 35 miles I think, which was kind of embarrassing because it was bouncing around, but it did work well. So I had the headlamp, that's always key. And other gear I was using, I was switching with my parents. I was wearing this Ultimate Direction bottle handheld, just a 20-ouncer, and I had electrolyte fluid in it. And I stopped a couple of times at the aid station to fill it up with who knows what. I think it was like some sort of goo brew or something. I'm not sponsored by them. That ended up being a bad idea though, because I didn't know what I was drinking. And usually I just drink my electrolyte fluid and have my nice trusty V Fuel gels, which I had. condensed into, you could fit 5 of those V Fuel gels into this Ultimate Direction flask. So I had 2 of these flasks in my Ultimate Direction Essential belt, and this is the gear I was using. These were tucked in the pockets there, so I could carry 10 gels in this belt, and I could just slurp them out of here, which is real handy because you don't have to worry about any gel wrappers, fumbling around with that, and all the garbage there that you got to tuck in your pockets, and your hands get all slimy and all that. So I was taking that as switching belts with my parents at mile 14, as well as the handheld. And then at the aid stations I was randomly filling up with stuff, and it was my plan to kind of take the lead around mile 20. There's a good climb up Cardiac Hill. It's like a 3-mile climb in the middle of the race, and I was like, well, I'll just test out the field here a little. We're going up these steep switchbacks, and so I put the hammer down there, and I probably moved a little too hard on that. I put in a big surge, and I ended up opening up a gap. And before I was like, well, maybe you shouldn't, once you take the lead, you're kind of screwed because it's like you're just waiting to lose the lead. But I tried to take advantage of that uphill because I'm way better at going up than going down, that's for sure. And I didn't feel real great. My legs were kind of not feeling real great. I didn't know if they're gonna poop out like at Les Templiers. My hips totally pooped out. So they're kind of stiffening up, and you're only 20 miles in, you're like, I'm not even halfway done. It's kind of a concerning feeling, and you look back and there's just this stream of guys chasing you down. You feel like you're in this hunt and you're a gazelle and they're all hunting you down, trying to get you. But so legs not feeling real great, stomach starting to go a little bit. And part of the problem too with that is I filled my bottle up with pure Coke. And Sandy and I eat pretty healthy. We don't need a lot of refined sugar anymore. So I have pure Coke in this. I was slurping my gels too much too fast. I was like, it's an uphill. I don't want to bonk, so I'd probably put down 10 V Fuel and 20 ounces of Coke in 15 miles. And I didn't know I was getting some sort of electrolyte drink at the aid stations. I think it was goo stuff. And I learned later from Magdalena Louis Belay that it's a very concentrated electrolyte formula, and it was probably too concentrated. And so I get out to the out and back, and I see the competition right behind me. Alex Varner and Dakota Jones are like a minute behind me at the turnaround, and I still see Rod Krar and Timothy Olson and all these other, Tim Tollefson, all these other guys from Nike, Dylan Bowman from North Face, and they're all hunting me down, and I'm not feeling real great. I come through the marathon mark in about 3:05, I think, 3 hours 5 minutes, and it's been a net uphill. Those trails, even the out and back to McKenna Gulch, it's kind of a net uphill on the way out. I didn't realize how steep some of the climbs were, and we're coming back down, and I'm like, man, I'm getting hunted down. I got to bomb down this technical downhill to Stinson Beach, and it's the Matt Davis Trail, it's called. But I was wearing the Hoka 1-1 Challenger ATR, which is basically the Clifton Trail version, and it was really holding its own with the traction in the mud. You could still see there's a lot of mud on it, but there were some places that were just getting absolutely ridiculous. Washed out trails, water coming over the trail in little streams, and there were all these branches that were hanging down that were gonna chop my head off basically, and you're jumping over all that, and it's this real technical, it's not super technical, but it was more technical than it probably usually is because it was so wet and the tree roots were all wet, and some of the bridge, you're crossing these wooden bridges with all these stairs, and when wooden stairs and rocks get wet, it tends to be a little more treacherous when you're trying to bomb down a hill and you have Dakota Jones chasing you. So that was on my mind. But I got to Stinson Beach, mile 33, parents crewing for me, did the bottle swap. Was really just craving water at that point and really just trying to take advantage of the uphills. And I didn't know we had to go up this steep ravine trail, which was totally ridiculous. It had this wooden ladder you had to climb. But not feeling good, still have 17 miles to go, and I know Dakota's like a minute behind me. So real treacherous, and I'm coming back down Cardiac after another aid station stop, and we're doing the switchbacks that I originally had made a move on running up, and they've turned into this mosh pit of mud, like super slippery, doesn't matter what you're wearing, super slippery. I got to see a lot of the 50K and other 50-mile runners coming head on at me, and I apologize in advance if I made a weird face at you or didn't acknowledge you, because I tried to cheer some people on coming head on at me, but I was really not feeling good at that point. My stomach had turned, too much Coke, and I ended up actually dry heaving and then actually puking. At first I was like, I usually just start dry heaving if my stomach turns, and usually it doesn't, but I actually puked up my Coke and some whatever bile, whatever it is, and I had to kind of, I didn't want to stop, but I did kind of stop, and I was really slowing down on that downhill. And so sure enough, I look back, Dakota's coming on me, and he catches me. And so I step aside, let him pass, and we're bombing down the final switchbacks of this treacherous downhill mud pit, and people are coming head on, and it's a pretty narrow trail there. And I apologize to whoever I collided into someone. I couldn't stop. I tried to slam on the brakes, and we came around this turn, and I hit someone. I apologize if that was you. I didn't mean to do that, but Dakota was in the lead there, and I was like, man, I'm done. I'm 38 miles in, 39 miles in, and my legs feel like crap, my stomach feels really bad, I'm really tired, it feels like we've been going really hard for a really long time, and we still have these big climbs left. But the climbs also gave me confidence, because I'm a climber, and I like climbs. I just didn't know if my legs would hold up, and we're breathing hard, obviously burning some fat probably, crossing some thresholds, and as this mud is really bothering me, actually, I was like, I just need some solid footing, because it's an injury risk as well. And then Dakota peels off into the bushes for a pit stop. So then all of a sudden I find myself in the lead again, coming into Mirror Beach, mile 40. You got 10 miles to go. That's when you throw down. And any 50-mile trail race that I've done, ultra race, the last 15 miles are always the most painful, by far. And it's always like, man, this is gonna suck. You're just really in a lot of discomfort, and you still realize you have a pretty long way to go. And it's gonna take you a while to do that last 15 miles, which is really hard to think about. But you just break it down, and I think, okay, what's the next aid station? I'll see my parents at Tennessee Valley, mile 45. And I'm gonna take advantage of this climb coming out of Mirror Beach. So all the cards were down, and I really had all this self-doubt in my mind, like, Dakota's right there. Once someone catches you, usually that late in the race, and they pass you, they usually beat you. And I started thinking back, podium finish would still be nice, and top 3 still gets some money, and it'd be nice, but I still really wanted to do my best and to try to finish as strong as possible and not let myself down or my pre-race expectations down. So it became a matter of, just try to finish this thing as fast as you can. And if that's a win, it's a win. If it's not, you gave it your all, and Dakota ran stronger then, or Alex Varner ran stronger maybe. And I had no idea what was going on behind me. I figured there was probably 5 or 10 hungry guys just waiting to run me down if I blew a gasket. And I was very close to blowing a gasket. I could have totally blown up and bonked and been walking it in, or DNFing. There's always a point in the race where I feel like I want to DNF, and I'm like, why am I doing this shit? This hurts, this sucks. But there's a lot of people cheering me on. Sandy's watching, was watching, and a lot of family members were watching, and I didn't want to let them down. I didn't want to let people that have supported me and allowed this to be possible for me, I didn't want to let them down, and the sponsors. And I didn't want to let myself down. And I think, we do these things to challenge ourselves and to find out how we could grow through persevering in adversity and when we feel really fatigued. And I always do feel very, very fatigued in these races, but especially in this one, I feel like the competition and just all the press going into this race really brought out the ability to fight that pain and fatigue and to really dig deep, because I really did have to dig deep. And it's hard for me to remember a race where I felt so much pain for so long and was able to pull it off successfully. So I'm really thankful for that, and it definitely puts you in a dark place. I don't want to think about running an ultra for a while now, but it definitely, that's kind of the mindset that I was going through when I was climbing up those last 10 miles and Dakota was chasing me. Really hard to think about, but you just break it down, and I think, okay, what's the next aid station? I'll see my parents at Tennessee Valley, mile 45, and I'm going to take advantage of this climb coming out of Mirror Beach. So sure enough, we're running up Mirror Beach. It's a lot more muddy than it was earlier in the day because of all the foot traffic and all the accumulated rain. And I filled up with just water. I was just going with pure water. I really needed that, and it actually made my stomach feel a bit better. I took some gin-gins, and I felt a lot better after getting that water in. So climbing up the Muir Beach climb, and it's steep. You can see it on Strava, but mile 40, 42, and I'm looking back, and Dakota's right there. It's 30 seconds behind, and he's starting to power hike a little, and I'm like, whenever he power hikes, I'm gonna keep running, and I'm going up to the top, and I could disappear into the fog because the fog's rolling in. I was like, if I get far enough away in the fog, he won't see how close I am to him still. And then sure enough, I knew there was a downhill into the aid station at mile 45, and I was like, he's gonna gain on me on that downhill because he's very fast at running downhill, and part of it's kind of technical near the end. So I'm just trying to charge down these downhills, and my quads still really hurt from that charge on those downhills. I am extremely sore. I could barely walk. My legs are totally trash right now, even 3 days later. And I come into aid station mile 45. Dakota's like 30 seconds behind me, and you do not want to be in that position where you have 5 miles to go. Someone's 30 seconds behind you, charging at you. It was a very unnerving feeling, and I was under a lot of pressure. But I was like, you know what, man? Maybe you could pull this off. You could pull off a win here if you put everything you have into this last climb. And there's a good like 2 mile runnable section climb. After that, I was like, if you put your head down and grind up this climb as hard as you can, maybe you could open up some daylight. Maybe you could get close enough to the finish where he wouldn't be able to catch you because he's running out of real estate. And so that's exactly what I did. And it didn't feel like I was moving fast. I was slogging away on it. I was breathing pretty hard. I was not feeling good, but the hips didn't fail this time. And I did some exercises that Sandy helped me with, and I opened up my training with some more speed training and stuff. So that worked out really well, but ended up crossing the finish line in first and had 4 minutes to spare, so I could kind of relax the last half mile. But it was a battle all the way, and I'm just really thankful I made it without getting lost or getting hurt, and without falling really hard and busting up anything. So I couldn't do it without all your support though, and without the support from my sponsors and my family, my girlfriend Sandy. Just everything came together for this race, and it was really a great performance that I really feel satisfied with and feel very fortunate to be able to pull off at the end of the year here. But I'm tired. I crossed the finish line. I was wearing these compressed sport calf sleeves, which really made my calves feel great. My calves always hold up, and my hips held up, but my quads are trash now, and my hamstrings are pretty tired, and shins hurt, everything hurts. So I put these compressed sport recovery socks on when I got on the plane on Sunday. I had to fly back to Denver here, and yeah, no, it really made a difference. I had my Avery, I had my Yugo bars, I had my trail butter at the finish line. A lot of friends and fellow runners there at the finish line areas. Just a really fun time, and it wasn't pouring down rain this year, so it was really great. But I really had a battle out there, and I'm really tired now. But I do want to get the Olympic Trials qualifier in the marathon in 2015 at some point, so I'm going to try to run Houston Marathon in January. That's the plan, if I'm not too banged up. We'll see how the recovery goes. I'll play it by ear, but thanks again for all the views and all the support. I really appreciate all your comments, and try to get back to as many of them as I can, but I really do appreciate them and all your kind words. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing and sharing this video, and if you're listening to the podcast, thanks for subscribing to that. And you can check out my blog post there, sagecanaday.com, for the poem that I wrote about the race, as well as some pictures if I was lucky enough to get. And also stay tuned for some videos of the race. There's already one posted out that covers the race, but also Billy Yang Films. Billy Yang is doing a documentary where he actually filmed me in Boulder here like 3 weeks before the race, and filmed some other guys, Tim Tollefson, Alex Farner, Dylan Bowman, Timothy Olson, before the race and our lead up into the race, as well as the race footage itself. So he has a trailer up already on his YouTube channel. You can search Billy Yang. He also did Western Time, which is a great film. And there'll be other, hopefully more media coming out about this race. But in closing, thanks again for all the support and all the views. I really appreciate it. And I wish you the best of luck with your future training and racing, or whatever is in store for you this winter, this holiday season, and into 2015. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more VO2 Max Productions.